everyone. So I felt inspired and compelled to share something with you today. And some of you may have seen I'm relaunching Soul Expansion Retreat, and Soul Expansion is just something that is like ingrained into my cells. I know what it means for me. For those that I've been working with for years now at this point, probably have an idea of what I'm referring to, but for people who are new or are curious or wondering or even are like, I don't think anything's random. So if you randomly find yourself listening to me right now, whether it's live or whether it's a week or a month or a year later, it does not matter. Soul expansion is a term that I wanted to try to explain. A lot of, as a healer, as a truth seeker and teller and teacher, and all of the things, labels that I like feel about myself, it's sometimes hard to use the English language to explain certain things. And when I decided to start embarking on the platform of leading retreats, I really did that because I felt so compelled to creating a space that I had been in with teachers and mentors myself. Retreats are something that I continue to go to. I'll be going on 2 yet this summer for my continuous growth and expansion of myself that is human, but is a soul in human form, right? And so are you. And I love talking and connecting with people on the deep stuff. In fact, it's and maybe you might relate to me on this, it's sometimes painful to have conversations on like surface level stuff, because I feel like although some of that surface level stuff is just chatter and it can break the ice, it's really meaningless in that it doesn't really matter about the weather, or if somebody asks you, how are you? If I'm asking that, I'm as a doctor, I'm assessing an individual's response to that. I'm assessing if they're making eye contact. I'm assessing their body language. I'm very in tune and empathic to other people's feelings and emotions, and that's one thing that I hold dear and sacred because it really comes in handy. If I'm going to ask that question, which you do not hear me say, how are you, very often, because I've gotten out of the habit of asking that, because so often it's just a knee-jerk reaction for somebody to answer good, fine, or whatever. And it's not really always the truth. It's usually not the truth. Usually what's going on, we're complex individuals, and I believe that the expansion of really being able to understand and listen to our soul and its guidance is the process we're all seeking. It is the process that is always going to be there. And when we deny the soul's messages, when we deny that, is where we start feeling anxious. When we deny the path that we know that we are being guided towards, when we say no to it, or we shut it down, or we choose to ignore it in some way, shape, or form, is where we inflict the resistance of that, is where we actually feel the pain. And at first I believe it comes up emotionally or even mentally. But then I believe as we continue to deny our soul's whisperings, it can start affecting us physically. It starts breaking down our physical body. And I'm not saying this just from personal experience, although I have unlimited personal experiences of when I've denied or have tried to force through physically the challenges that I am here to learn, the lessons, I should say, not always challenge in a negative sense. When I've denied the process of the soul, of my soul guiding me, is when it starts affecting me physically. And where does it manifest for me in my body? And everybody's different. I'm going to give you an example. For me, it is always going to be in this region. Not like, oh, I have really tight traps. It's not. It's going to be pinpoint. It's almost shocking. It limits me. It catches me, oddly enough. And as a chiropractor, like thousands, millions of adjustments that I have performed, and I have immediate healing taking place as patient and neck pain gone. But for myself, it's so much deeper than that. And I've learned that this is a way that my soul is getting my attention. How are you ignoring, Lindsay? How are you putting on the blinders? How are you not flowing in life and resisting the messages? So soul expansion, again, is an expansion. If you can imagine a lotus, or you can imagine a rose or a flower, just petal by petal opening, these layers of opening, there's this expansion, and it's always happening within ourselves. And as old things die away, we're making way for new openings and new occurrences. And this is the term that I coin as your soul expansion. Always, every day, there's things that your soul is asking of you to guide you. And every day, every moment, sometimes you can heed the call. You can listen, you can follow. And not always is your soul's advice the logical one. Almost never does it seem logical, because we live in this ego-based world, right? You're a human being. That's what makes you human, is having this ego. So you have choice. You have choice. And that's the beauty of it. It's the beauty of the experience. However, it poses challenges because we can choose to live logically, ego-centric, ego-maniac, sometimes just controlling and manipulating and living in fear because we just want to stay safe, even if it means small, and I'm not going to ever do anything different with my relationships or my career, or have children or don't have children, or travel, or put $1 million in the bank account because that makes me feel safe, or blow all my money. Like, what is it, right? Your soul is the one that is trying to guide you to your highest purpose, because and this is something that I'll talk about in Soul Expansion Retreat, this spring retreat, is really identifying what is that purpose. Are you here for a purpose for yourself? Or do you feel like you're here for a purpose for yourself and the collective, which meaning you're on this planet for a bigger reason? I believe I've got both responsibilities, and I take those responsibilities very seriously. I was having a conversation with a very close mentor of mine, and he was a physician that I worked with when I was a nurse, and he is going to be spending some time in an ashram in India for the first time, which is his native country. And having this conversation with him, he's been retired for the last couple of years, and he was commenting on, working, and now there's retirement coming up, and or is in retirement, and you can do these things. And I said, but what is retirement? Like, I feel like I get to live my dream. Not dream as if like this is something I've always planned, not at all. But my dream as in I get to experience on a daily basis the things that bring me joy. I get to live this experience that it lights me up and fuels with passion and service, and I get to work with children, and I get to work with parents, and I get to stand back and watch them express, I feel, is their greatest potential. I get to give advice and teach, and ultimately it's not my responsibility if they take it or not, but I have put myself in a place on a platform where I can express truth, which is my number one rule in my life is experience what is true, not because somebody says it, but because it's in deeper. What is that? And whether that individual, family member, friend, patient, client, whatever it is, colleague, agrees with it or not, is up to them. But I get to stand firmly in knowing there's thousands of people that I have helped by standing grounded and firmly in that truth. And I can't imagine retiring from that, is the point I'm getting at. I can't imagine that not being a part of my everyday. And his comment was, well, just wait until you're ready for retirement. And I said, but that's the thing. I go, you practiced completely different than me. You were on call. You worked weekends. You worked in the middle of the night. You worked endlessly for most of your life. And I don't. Like, I've come to find what I feel is the healthiest balance, that I can be available in my career, but I also don't feel like I'm sacrificing my role as a mother and a wife. That took work, because I came into my career thinking I had to force it. I came into my career thinking I had to sacrifice my family, because not only I was a doctor and I wanted to be available for my patients, but I was an entrepreneur. So that means I had to like sell my soul as well. Because that's what I watched my family do. I watched my family, working 7 days a week and, 20-hour days, and their business ultimately failed. Multi-generational, and there wasn't really women leaders in my life. So I had this perception, and I continue to follow my soul's calling despite those experiences, despite that energy that was ingrained into my cells and my psyche and my ego saying, go harder or you're gonna fail. And I was just sharing even with some of my coworkers that is ultimately my greatest fear, is failure, for 1,000 reasons. But I think it's the most common fear of anyone. And I'm not speaking for all of you, I'm speaking for myself, of course, but the human being and the ego is here to thrive and survive. And for me, I want to be able to do it on my terms, but I also want to be able to do it because it's true and it's real and it's purposeful and it's impactful. So I didn't have a choice but to rise into this role. I feel I would rather die. I would die if I wasn't doing this work. And this is the calling. All right, the soul expansion is you finding the thing and living and embodying the thing that lights you up in small ways, not just large ways. I'm not going to sit here and say, 24 hours a day, I'm like just grooving and like on lit. Like I have my times where I've several months ago, I even said to my husband, I don't know if this is worth it. There's a lot of things going on that were challenging me at that moment in time in my practice, and I questioned, is this worth it? Is this worth me crying? Is this like on my knees crying? Is this worth me staying awake at night? There's been many a time where I've questioned, but then at the flip of the coin, he's so wonderful in grounding me and saying, well, what else are you gonna do? And that's the thing. There's nothing else I would ever do. So I take a breath and I reboot and I rise again. Following my soul's calling, following the thing that lights me up every day, following it in very small ways when I'm feeling the resistance or when I'm feeling the pressure or where I'm feeling like I'm not sure. It's continuing to go even then. And that ultimately is my greatest description is your soul's callings don't retire. There isn't a retirement age of where you're off the hook, because you are a soul in this human form. You're here to do the things that you were incarnated to do. So what is that? What is that is the ultimate question. And what I have learned, I guess, personal experience, but also coming with the multiple avenues and courses and classes and books and workshops and retreats and immersion programs and professional experience. Like, the thing I come back to again is you can identify the thing that your soul is asking you by tuning in every day, really. And if you want, we can even just do a practice right now to help you to tune into how does that even show up? What does that look like? And this was actually a meditation that I had learned from one of my mentors, and you might have read some of her books, Rebecca Campbell. And it's really simple. It's just a little meditative practice. So wherever you are, or if you're like driving, please don't do this. But if you're just sitting, or if you can, sit down and just sit in your chair and just feel your weight in whatever chair that you're sitting in, or the floor or your bed. Just feel your body being held. I want you to take a couple of deep breaths. And I want you to just tune into your heart center. And your heart center is really your infinite capacity to where your soul's truth is. All right, so that heart center is right in your chest area. If you keep your eyes closed and you just try to drop into that heart center rather than your head, go a little deeper and just envision this beautiful flower, like we were talking about, this beautiful center. And if you can just ask that heart center of yourself to start opening, ask it to just start gently opening, and little by little opening, because you can trust it, opening because it can trust you, opening petal by petal. And within the center of that flower is a beautiful light, and this is where your soul is living. And in that light, as you're just tuning into its beauty, you ask it to show you. You ask it to help you to recognize what that is. What is it that is trying to express to you? Why is it so important? And how can you get started today? So as you take another deep breath, trust that the answers will come through you now. And you can open your eyes, and if you have a pen and paper, you can even just write some of this down. And the first question that we asked is, what is your soul asking you to hear or to discover? What is your soul yearning for? And if you write down numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 after that question, what is your soul yearning for? You're going to write in those numbers the top 5 things that are coming to your mind right now, without questioning it. Don't think about it, just free write. Just write what it is. It should take no longer than 15 seconds. Write. There's no right or wrong, just write it down. And now I want you to write down on the next, or flip the paper over right below it, what is my soul calling me to? What is it calling you to? How is it wanting you to do this? How is it wanting to carry you out? What is your soul calling you to do, to take action? And you're going to write out 1 through 5 as well. And as you write out 1 through 5, 1 being one modality, 2, 3, 4, 5, not thinking, just doing, just write, just free write. I want you to go back, and I want you to circle the things on those lists. I want you to circle 2 things from each list, and that stand out the most, that stand out and resonate with you as like, yes, like, it might be the thing you're freaking scared the most of as well, but go ahead and circle them. And then as you are tuning in to the 2 on each column, I want you to underline 1 in each column, the one that is standing out even more than the other. Those are the 2 things that your soul is calling forward right now. All right? And if you want to write now, just make a sentence out of that. Make a sentence out of the both of them. And how you can start doing that today is by taking just a small step. It's by taking just one small step moving forward in that direction now. Does that mean you're picking up the phone and you're talking to somebody? Does that mean you are writing from your heart in a journal which turns into your first book? Does that mean you hire the mentor to help you on this path of understanding it more? Does that mean you find the practitioner to help lead you on a healthier mind, body, spirit pathway? Does that mean you ask for the promotion at work because you know you so deserve it? Does that mean you apply for a schooling or an educational program because you're ready for a change? Does that mean you make a transition in a relationship, or you rearrange your furniture in your house? Whatever it is, the things that your soul is calling for are not always rational. They're not always what the person next door or your parents or your siblings or your best friend would do. And that's okay. that is the part of you that as you practice this and you tune into it again and again, you get more comfortable with your soul's calling. And that is the most important sacred practice that you could have, is the relationship that you have with your higher guidance system. And it can look like a lot of different things. It doesn't need to look like what I'm saying or look like the people that you've learned from. But Rebecca Campbell is, hands down, one of the most amazing practitioners that I've had the luxury of learning from. And she brings in that spiritual aspect, that soul aspect of helping me soften. And so I wanted to share that with you because I feel like it can serve many. So when you ask yourself, oh, you're going to go to start taking action, don't judge yourself. That's what the ego does. The ego tries to keep you safe. And it's like, but what if? What if it goes bad? What if nobody hears me out? What if it looks stupid? What if I look like an idiot? What if you can never fail? And that is the next message in truth, is you can never fail by taking action and being brave and courageous and following your soul's path is where the true promotion comes from, is where the bliss and the joy is found, is having complete faith and moving in a different direction. So it's gonna feel scary. That's okay. Ask to be led. It's gonna feel weird. It's get over the fact that you've never done it before. It's just that alone, you can't predict how things are going to turn out, but it's going into the unknown where the change is made. So listen to your soul. It will always guide you. Soul Expansion Retreat is a womb of this stuff. It's not like workshopping. It's not like a class. It's not like a public, wide open, you go there and you don't know people. It's very intimate and cozy and loving and gentle and very, very soul-esque, and is the most beautiful creation, I think, today that I have put together. And I've put a lot of things together. And so when I say that, I'm saying that from a true vulnerable place as well, because I have been ridiculed much by putting on these retreats by even some of my family members, which I could sit and feel bad about, but guess what? It's none of my business what other people think of me, and it is my business to follow my soul's callings. That I know, and how deeply the retreat itself has transformed me as an individual is something so personal and amazing and sacred. But the people that I get to collaborate with, which is you guys coming and joining, the transformations and the testimonials and the things for days and weeks, and people are like, I can't wait for the next one. Most of the people registered within a week of the last one. That says a lot for the mission and the purpose. So when I think of my own personal mission is to really understand the underlying truth of things, but my collective mission is to then share that with others. And integrating a spiritual practice, a soulful practice in your daily life is more important to me than anything that I think I've ever done. And my in comparison to exercise, or in comparison to sleep, food, whatever, because it's the thing that sustains me mentally, emotionally, is that spiritual connection, the mind, body, soul, right? So my mind and my body is so much better off when I'm connected to my soul. Because it's my soul's mission here on earth, not my mind or my body. That's my vehicle. My mind's my logic, awareness of how I'm going to make decisions. My body's the vehicle that it lives in, but it's my soul's mission of why I'm here. And the Soul Expansion Retreat is that safe place. It's 2 days. That probably will change in the near future to a longer one, because I have people that are asking for longer, which is fun. However, it's 2 days of we're in it. Like, we're in this area. You become pretty close. It's not strangers. You might walk in strangers, but within minutes something happens, and it's like long lost souls. I think even last time people were like, "Do I know you? You're so familiar." Yes, as soul sisters and brothers, we do know each other, and we're just recognizing ourselves in a human form now. But you notice each other's light, you notice each other's love, you notice each other's curiosity and playfulness and joy, and that's the thing that the ego has a hard time with, right? So if anybody's listening to this, like, what are you talking about? That is the difference. And the more judgmental that we become of others and ourselves is that separateness. And as the judgment grows, right, versus being curious and open is where we become more one again. And that is what the ego is good at, is the judgment, is the separateness. And my goal is to tighten that gap a little bit and bring you closer together with your soul's intention. So Soul Expansion Retreat is May 4th and 5th. And that's a Saturday and a Sunday. And it's in Red Wing, Minnesota. And the spring one's fun because we get to spend a little time outdoors, which Mother Nature has so much to offer in that area. And it's all accommodations, so you come and stay the night. All food and everything is included. And just ask that you show up, open, bring a journal, because there's going to be things you want to write down, and bring some comfortable clothes and an open heart. Somebody asked me, sent me a message earlier in the week asking, do I have to public speak? Do I have to like share anything? And I said, no, like it's not about you sharing. However, after you start, and this is something I've learned in many retreats that I've went to, I'm like the one that wants to sit in the back, like way in the corner saying nothing, because I'm so different than everyone. And really that is the ego's way of keeping you safe, is I'm going to sit back here and judge the shit out of everyone because I don't want people to hear me, and I'm going to say nothing. I'm going to escape, not talk to anyone. And I still catch myself doing those things. And so do you have to share? No. But what most people find is they want to, because you recognize not only yourself in another person, but you realize that you speaking up, you are speaking for the collective. You're speaking and somebody else has your exact same story, has your exact same longing, or knows your truth, or knows, and it just becomes this collective of light and love and understanding and celebration. And I can't speak to what exactly I'm referencing, other than it's like a whole weekend of that again and again and again, and it's quite expansive. So with that being said, know that even that little meditation that I just went through, that's something that you can do regularly every day if you need to, as you're getting used to your journey of your soul expansion. And the retreat is obviously a place where we can come together and dive into this in a really loving, safe place for growth, for understanding that expansion practice and what it means for you. So if you feel inclined to join, I'll put the link for the retreat in the comments. But some other ways that you can just stay connected is right on this page. Please share it also, this message, with other people, privately or publicly, whatever that means is for you, that you're feeling called to do so. I appreciate it, because it's as we work together that other people find out. Every single person that I have manifested into my life to serve me and me serve them has almost always been from someone else sharing when they've really connected. And that's the fun thing, is when we start growing this web of light and love together. It's an expansion, service of expansion, right? A couple other things that are coming up locally is I will be hosting a 3-part series workshop with Caitlin O'Neill, who is an astrologer, wonderful young lady from the Zumbrota area. And I've been taking astrology classes from her for a little bit now, and I asked her to join me on this venture, and it's going to be more classroom workshop type experience. There's a class April 13th, May 11th, June 1st. Those are Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. The class is going to be roughly 60 to 90 minutes long, and it's going to be going into the topics are mind, body, and soul, and it's going to be going in how your mindfulness, your state of mind, your state of perception or judgment, but also how your natal chart, how the astrology affects and influences your mind, your body, and your soul's mission, and bringing in that type environment. So if the retreat seems like it's not quite time for that, this would be a smaller investment in time and money for you, and I can put the link for that in the comments. That will be held at my practice, Essential Chiropractic in Red Wing, on those Saturdays, and will also be able to be available digitally. So when you click on the link, the digital version is something that can be going out remotely. So let's say you don't live locally, or you would miss a day or one of those days, that's fine. You'll get the digital copy sent to you, and that is going to be great. I also have a colleague coming in, Dawn Bennett, if you know her. She's been a homeopath that has really been, homeopathy is really, I believe, when my awareness of mindfulness practice, emotional practice, which has grown so much since then. I mean, I'm going on probably 6-7 years ago that Dawn and I started working together, like for me, and she and I are putting on a class together. She is a EFT practitioner, which is tapping, and how I'll be adding to the aspect. She'll talk about how EFT works, which is absolutely amazing. But I'll be adding to the collaboration of what does blocked emotion look like, physically, emotionally, mentally. When you're blocking the emotion, this is how this shows up. But then she can get into tapping and how it works to unlock just through a mechanism of tapping, okay? And EFT, look it up online. Nick Ortner is an amazing practitioner. And so Dawn's going to be coming here from Sweden, and we'll be doing that. It's on a Tuesday evening. Is that the 15th or 16th? I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. But that'll be a Tuesday evening at 5:15 in my office too, and that is free of charge. So if anybody wants to come for that evening, you certainly can. And I don't have a link for that, but I can, I'll put the details in the comments anyway, and you can message me if you want to come, just RSVP that you'll be there. Anything else? I do have a couple other public speaking events, but one's at the U of M campus. That's at the beginning of April for a large group of women, which I'm excited about. So public speaking is my jam. I love it. It's something that lights me up, and I wanted to just also ask if you have any local events to you. I'm willing to travel as well, are open for public speaking. Hit me up and see if it, I want to see if it's something that I'm aligned with, and I'd love to help out in that way and serve in that way. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing this, and I hope to connect with you in the physical or digital world soon. Thank you.